Trump has been around for too long as a feature in our lives to do this as like,
Not
I'm
long
writing,
enough.
and it shall go on forever, it feels, to be like, I'm, writing him off. But what they're talking about is a very real change in sentiment. So they say, the base is with him, and the MAGA base has been with him since he, came down the golden escalator, though there has been a big drop in his support among non-college voters down to -9 approval. But the economy is what people show up to vote on, and his ratings on the economy are absolutely dismal. Of the average of polls, it's at -18. You have unemployment up, jobs numbers have been consistently terrible. You have Peter Navarro out today kind of pre-butting what will be a bad jobs report. Tax Foundation had a new report saying that the average American household paid an extra $1,000 last year because of the tariffs. It'll go up to $1,300 this year. Consistently, voters say, though, Trump isn't focused on the things that they care about, which is lowering prices. And I think that there are two plot lines that the administration, for obvious reasons, really want to ignore but matter to voters. First of all, Donald Trump and his family, their corruption. This story, Andy McCarthy is doing a series for the National Review on it. All the crypto money that they're taking in from the UAE and others is a really big deal. And then what's going on with the Epstein files. And I'm not making this partisan. I'm saying it is an elite problem. John Ossoff is now calling it the Epstein class and even name-checked George Soros in his campaign rally. If it's us versus them, and Trump is just saying, ignore it, it's going to go away. And you have Howard Lutnick, for instance, testifying that he went to the island in 2012 when he said in 2000.
You never cared about this until now because Trump won. This is just like immigration. You didn't care about all the illegals until Trump won, and now you care about Epstein.
Well,
Trump's fine under Epstein.
I was obviously very careful to say that. I am not accusing the president of doing anything. I'm saying that he has an Epstein files problem, and he knows it.
No one has a problem.
Given the fact that Trump himself is named in the Epstein files 38,000 times, do you think he should at least testify in the same way that Bill and Hillary Clinton did?
There are multiple people who have testified already in these depositions who have said that the president is not implicated in any kind of crime. And even today,
wouldn't you want to hear from the guy? Wouldn't you want to hear right from the horse's mouth?
I think the president has much bigger issues to deal with. And even today, President Bill Clinton said that he believes the president.
Bigger issues than being implicated in a pedophile ring?
We started the show talking about the Epstein files.
I think that's a pretty big.
It's interesting that we're now diverting away from the facts on local Democrats letting criminals out of prison who are then going and murdering people at bus stops and on the train on the way home. But I want to get to this.
I think it's a pretty big issue when you have the sitting president of the and frankly, if the president was a Democrat and he was implicated in the biggest sex trafficking ring in the United States, in the history of this country,
I think the word implicated is pretty strong. And I think
how would you know? But how would you know if he doesn't testify?
Because you can read the documents, you can read the emails, and this isn't just about President Trump.
But we have 3 million documents that haven't been released.
Yes, you can. The Epstein thing is a distraction. From what's actually happening from this story that happened just today, where we have an illegal immigrant from West Africa.
You brought up the idea of a registered sex offender.
Yeah, registered convicted sex offender, not the president who was named in files with no evidence at all of criminal wrongdoing. Those are two very different things. But I want to get back to the news.
Transparency.
I mean, again, let's just restate the premise here. We had an agreement that had put Iran over a year away from getting a nuclear weapon. We call it breakout time. The moment that they decide to get a nuclear weapon to the moment that they can possess one was over a year. Donald Trump ripped up that agreement, and then he just told the world this weekend that Iran is now a week away from getting a nuclear weapon. Now, whether that's true or not, that's Donald Trump's doing. He destroyed the agreement that had put them a year out from a nuclear weapon. And yes, he's got lots of warmongers around him. He's got a lot of folks who work in the defense industry who, see big profits in their eyes when they dream of a war against Iran. And he also, wants to keep the conversation away from Epstein. He seems allergic to working on the American economy. And so Venezuela occupied our political space for a little while. Now Iran occupies our political space, and folks aren't talking about the fact that there's an active cover-up to prevent the exposure of the president's connection to a child sex ring.
So, as we all know, Donald Trump has dragged us into yet a forever war. Well, lo and behold, Netanyahu's dream has finally come true. But the sad part is, you know, for him at least, he's never going to get to see it come to fruition. He's been dreaming of a greater Israel. But the problem is Iran, well, among many other problems, Iran is taking out infrastructure that's damaging the world economy, and they're going to continue to do so. And so now gas prices all over the world are going to skyrocket, and the rest of the world is pointing the finger at the United States and Israel, rightfully so. Donald Trump got us into this war because, oh, lo and behold, Epstein. But the silly thing is, we already know Donald Trump's all over the Epstein files. We already know what kind of man he is. This dude is mentioned over 1 million times in the Epstein files, and there's still 3 million left to go that won't be released, or, you know, that the DOJ says that they're not going to release. But we don't, you know, what else is there to see? What don't we know by now? We know the type of person that this man is. Yet and still, here we are. And so, if you recall, the Iraq war was only supposed to last for a few weeks. And then several decades later, there we were. Well, 2 decades later, there we were. And it's going to be the same for this. Donald Trump, on the one hand, said, oh, this is only going to last for a couple of days. Well, actually, it may be 4 to 5 weeks. And then Pete Hegseth, like, you know what? We're not going to tell you our plans. We don't want to tip off the enemy. Why should we tell you what we're going to do? Maybe because we put y'all in office. Maybe because that's your job. You know, so this whole thing is a disaster. And Lindsey Graham was on Fox News saying that Cuba's next. Okay, so I guess Cuba's next. I guess we're going to do a regime change in Cuba. We're just going to do a regime change for everybody all over the planet, and there's not going to be any consequences to be faced. But there are going to be consequences to be faced. We're already facing that. Donald Trump's approval rating is going to go to the floor. The only people that he's going to have left over the next few weeks, we still got 3 years left of this. Oh my God, we still have 3 years left. The only people he's going to have left are the cult-based followers who, no matter what he does, if he goes out on Fifth Avenue, they're going to be with him. And that's all he has left.